Episode 2. When no means not yet. Rejection is only redirection. It was 2002. I was 24 years old, married, and the mother of a toddler. My husband at the time didn't have a job. He was here on a 90-day fiancé visa from the Dominican Republic and was still learning English and the American culture. His green card was still in progress, and every day it felt like we were walking a tightrope, living paycheck to paycheck with expenses growing faster than our household income. I was exhausted. I was the one holding us together. We were living with the stress of bills, immigration paperwork, and other overwhelming realities of raising a child before we'd even had a chance to grow up ourselves. That's when the idea of joining the military came to me. It wasn't just about serving my country, it was about survival. The Army meant stability, housing, benefits, steady pay, health insurance. It meant my husband could speed up his paperwork, and it meant my son would have some security. It was the solution to so many of our problems. So, in January of 2003, I walked into a recruiter's office. I wanted to join as soon as possible, and my recruiter gave me a month. So I threw myself into preparation, running and training, push-ups and sit-ups, and just trying to do my best because I needed to lose about 10 pounds too. February came by so fast, and on February 22nd, I went down to the Military Entrance Processing Station, MEPS, with a group of other future service members. I remember that room vividly. A bunch of us just sitting there, young men and women, very nervous energy everywhere. Some were just fresh out of high school, just barely 18. Me, a little older, with a college degree, married, and a toddler at home. We all wore the same look on our faces. Part excitement, part fear, part pride. That was it. We were all about to sign our contracts and ship off to basic training. That's what our recruiters told us. At one point, someone asked me, "Why are you doing this? You got a family, you have a degree. Why are you leaving your family behind?" And I remember my answer surprising even me. I said, "Look, if I die in action, at least my family will have some military money to pay for my funeral and some life insurance. But if I die in LA on the streets where I grew up, my family's going to be out there doing car washes just to bury me. At least this way, my death would mean something and it would get paid for." The room got quiet. Some people looked at me like I was crazy, but I meant it. That was my reality. That was the way I saw my options at that moment. So finally, it was time for the medical portion, the height and weight check, and I stepped up, very confident and ready. And then the verdict. I was half a pound over the limit. Half a pound, zero point 0.5. I did not meet weight. And just like that, the answer was no. Well, not today. I was told to come back in a month. I should be able to lose a pound in a month. I still remember the way the words landed. I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't leaving that day. The contract I signed meant nothing unless I came back in a month and made weight. But here's the thing. I couldn't come back in a month. I had already given up my apartment. I had put everything in storage, moved my husband and my child to go live with my mom. I quit my job. My whole life was packed and in a storage. I was so prepared to be shipped off that day. And now nothing. Now, failure. No. I looked at my recruiter and the officer that was there, and I was like, "I'm not coming back. Like, I can't. I have to find a job. I have to find a place to live. I don't have the luxury of waiting around another month." No. So I walked away, and it crushed me. I felt like such a failure. I had to go back to my mom's house. I had to look at my husband and say, I didn't make it. I was too heavy. I'm not fit for the military, I guess. Mind you, I could pass the 1 mile run and the push ups and the sit ups they had me doing. I could pass those like nothing. It was just my weight. It was overwhelming. So weeks passed and I found a job. We got a new apartment, and my husband started doing some little side gigs just to earn some income. And then there was this one morning I so remembered vividly holding my son in my arms as I turned on the news. And it was March 20th, 2003. We were attacking Iraq. Operation Iraqi Freedom had just begun. The screen was filled with images of tanks and soldiers, chaos, casualties were piling up, stories were coming in and out, and this was going on for days, right? But that specific day, holding my son, that moment, it really hit me. I could have been there. Okay, maybe not on the front lines right away. I get it. Basic training, AIT, my job training, maybe not at all. But the truth is that I might have been. I could have been there. I could have been deployed overseas for that war. And holding my son, looking at the TV, my rejection looked so different at that moment. It wasn't just a number on a scale, it wasn't just half a pound. It was protection, it was redirection. I realized I had been spared from something that could have changed my life forever or even ended it. Of course, the story doesn't end there. 8 years later, I did go back. By then, I was a little bit older, stronger, and more determined. I definitely made sure I passed my height and weight. So I joined the New Mexico National Guard at age 32. And I fought through many months of medical waivers before I can finally sign my contract and go through MEPS. I signed my contract on December 14th of 2011, and I was shipped off in 2012. Ironically, it was in February, not the 22nd, but February 5th, I believe, which was Super Bowl weekend. And when I look back at 2003, I see it for what it was, the hidden curriculum I didn't know about, right? It was not failure, but a pause. It was not rejection, but redirection. Because sometimes the no we hear today is really just life saying, not yet. I'm going to break it down a little bit more, like I do. I I was married. I had a child. We were struggling. And I thought that joining the military could help get us back on our feet. What was really funny is I thought that the recruiter I was talking to was active duty Army. All those benefits I thought I was going to get, getting my husband into housing on a base. Silly me. I was young. I didn't understand how the military worked. I had actually gone to an Army Reserves recruiter, which is part-time military, not the full-time. So I could have kept my job. I could have kept the apartment. I could have kept everything. I just, for some reason, assumed that anything military-wise, you're going to be gone and you're going to be on a base and blah, 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 right? So That's funny. And then I just recently looked at my contract. They had me down as, give me a second because I have it pulled up right here. They had me as a 63 Sierra, which is a heavy wheeled vehicle mechanic. I don't think I even knew what I was signing up for because my degree was in film. Why would I be a heavy wheeled vehicle mechanic and the recruiter with New Mexico? I knew what I was getting myself into. I knew it was a part-time type of situation. I knew I was only going to be gone for, I think 3 months, 3 or 4 months I was gone. So I kept my job. I kept my house. I kept everything, right? And I actually knew what my job was going to be. I was going to be a truck driver, basically, or an 88 Mike. So I was just so much more informed the second time I went through it. And I definitely knew I needed to pass height and weight. What really kept me from signing my contract sooner was that I was 32. So many medical situations. I had 2 kids already. I had a surgery. I had so much going on. They had to approve me. I also was almost not going to pass because of my eyesight. Again, it was one of those where the doctor, I think he told me, if you were 0.5 higher, we would technically consider that legally blind and you wouldn't have passed, but you're not. So I just remember that one too. It's almost like I wasn't supposed to go into the military at all, right? But I got in. I'm glad I did. I think the most impacting thing for me was watching that war happen in front of my eyes and being so grateful that I didn't join the military. And I had other opportunities once I left, and I did. Within days, I got another job that I really enjoyed. Within days, we got another apartment and we had a little part-time job being apartment managers. We'd paint apartments for extra cash and had a little monthly stipend for taking rents and taking care of any kind of maintenance issues. So that no hurt at that moment. But the redirection, I didn't really think about it until years later. I still felt like I was rejected from the military. And so when I went to go try again, and it felt like I could get rejected again, it was kind of hard for me. Really? I'm a student athlete. I played college ball. I think at the time I was playing flag football with a whole bunch of guys, and I was like the only girl. But the military didn't want to take me. It was weird. But it wasn't a no. It was just a not yet. And it wasn't a rejection. It was just a redirection. The hidden curriculum of life is this. Rejection isn't always the end. Sometimes it's the pause you didn't know you needed. Sometimes it's the protection you didn't ask for. And sometimes it's life's way of saying, not yet. Thank you for joining me today. Thanks so much for joining me on the hidden curriculum of life. I hope today's story left you with something to reflect on, smile about, or carry with you. If you have a story to share, big or small, I'd love to hear it. You can email me at hidden.curriculum.of.life@gmail.com or connect with me on Instagram or Twitter X and also on YouTube. All of them are Hidden Curriculum of Life with Adrianne, and they will be in the notes so you can click and get there, whichever is your best method. Now let's keep uncovering the lessons life quietly teaches us all. Until next time, stay open, stay curious. and trust the journey. Bye.